Well, hey, welcome to this episode of the Freedom in Business Show. I'm so glad that you're back. I'm excited to introduce you to Misti Patrella. Oh, sorry. Did I say that right?
No, you totally did. You said it exactly
Okay.
right.
Okay. I meant to ask you that beforehand. Okay. We'll do it again.
No, it's totally, you did great.
Hey, welcome back to this episode of the Freedom in Business Show. I'm so glad that you decided to come back and continue to binge watch these interviews with amazing entrepreneurs who are crushing it in their business with multiple streams of income so that you can learn how to do the same thing in your business and in your life. Let me introduce you to today's guest, Misti Patrella. She is a transformational business coach for heart-centered and spiritual entrepreneurs. She helps coaches, healers, and other heart-centered, service-based entrepreneurs to create consistent income so that they feel more confident in their work, contribute to their families, and leave a powerful impact on the planet. Thank you so much for being here, Misti. I'm just excited to jump in with you today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go straight to the heart of this. We're talking about multiple income streams today. And so I want to get straight to what is it? Well, let me start. What was the first business that you started? Because a lot of times we start something and then later, like what we're doing today isn't anything near what we started with, right? So tell me about that first business that you started.
This is such a great question because the first business I started actually was in the 6th grade. And I sold candy.
Wow.
Yeah, I sold candy to my friends. And it wasn't like, this corporate thing. I kept bringing candy to school and they kept asking me for it. And I was like, no, but you can buy it. And so
Right.
my business was born. So no, I'm not still doing that. That was my first business in the 6th grade. It got shut down by the principal, because I'm such a rebel. They didn't want me to. But yeah, that was the first business. But no, my business now is very different than that very first business. That's for sure.
So tell me a little bit about that journey from selling candy to coaching women.
Yeah. So, that business got shut down and then I proceeded through life. But I spent 15 years in advertising, big agency advertising, and working on really cool brands. But as I progressed along my path, they wanted me to live there. And I found that entirely undoable. And so I found out that coaching was a thing. And I thought that I would be a coach for women post-divorce because I have been through a divorce myself. And I was like, I'm going to empower women and this is going to be my work. But when I was in coaching school, we were all about to graduate and all of my friends had no idea what they were getting into in terms of a business. And so I did, my degree is in business also. So I kept helping people. And then, this is how I empower women now.
I love it. I love it. So now you're using all kinds of skills from, you got some specific training on coaching, obviously,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah, I went to coaching 2-year school.
Yeah, but then also just life experience and what you've done in the past in the corporate world, right? So it all has incorporated in to what you're doing today.
That's exactly
my daughter is playing with my dog and now he's barking.
Welcome to my world. It's exactly
yes, I know, right? That's life, So we are totally focused in this show on creating multiple streams of income, how you've done it, what it looks like, what are those different multiple streams. And because what I really want to do is help open the eyes and give permission to those in our audience to think outside the box, to look at all the different ways that they could be impacting their life by bringing in additional income in multiple ways. So what are the ways that you have incorporated multiple streams into your life?
Okay, so I have my main program, which is one-on-one with people, but I also have a group program. So, that was created. All of my streams of income were created from need in my business. I also have a planner that I do every year. It's actually in revision right now.
Uh-huh.
And so that's another stream of income also, because I wanted my clients to be more organized or I wanted
Yeah.
to support them in doing that. Um, so yeah, that's how, those are the streams of income that I have. And they were all created because I had a solution I needed to create for somebody. So,
Right.
right. Another stream of income was born.
So tell us a little bit about the evolution of that. You started with one-on-one coaching then,
Yep.
and
Started with
then
one-on-one
added
coaching.
group. So what was
Yep.
it? What was that kind of like catalyst moment, that thing that really told you like now is the time to start a group program?
Um, it started because I was like, I'm saying the same thing over and
Mm,
over and 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 over again.
right.
It's time now for me to record this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, yeah, that was the actual, there was an actual moment where I was in the room with a client, well, on Zoom. I was on Zoom with
Yeah.
a client, and I was training this heart-centered selling. I was training this again and again. And I was like, oh, I think I can do this another way. I think there's another way that's more scalable also,
Right.
because our time can only go so far as a one-on-one person, which I love. It's my favorite way to work with people is one-on-one. I prefer it to group, but
Mm-hmm.
you can only do so many of those in a week.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
I know I had added an online course component that my one-on-one clients use that as well, so that our
Yeah.
time is addressing their questions, the issues, the blocks that they had in going through the content. So
Mhm.
as we went through the training, like, where did you get stuck? That's
Right.
so that way we're maximizing that one-on-one time as well.
So much better. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I found, you're repeating the same things. You're saying,
Yeah.
you're
I
training
was
the
like,
same thing. Once you
oh,
found
say
that
this again.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you have any other types of income in your life that aren't specifically business related? I know a lot of entrepreneurs delve into real estate investment, things like that as well, or just other types of investment. Do you have anything else that pulls in that
It's
is
actually interesting because
income
I'm
producing?
looking for something right now actually to be investing in, but no, not right at this moment. I don't. But
All right.
yeah, that's something that is on my radar absolutely right now, especially because real estate is hot on the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
So tell me, with running private coaching, a group program, and then you have your planner, which also then takes some of your time to update that annually, things like that. What does a typical day or week look like for you? How do you manage the different pieces and parts?
Oh, that's a very good question. I just, I start my week with my CEO hat on instead of my employee hat. So I like allow myself a little bit of time in the beginning of, actually I do it on a monthly basis. Like what's happening this month? How do these pieces all need dealt with individually during the month? And then I sort of just implement that out through the week. So um I look at it from like a overhead perspective every month
Uh-huh.
to see like what, because towards the end of the year now I have to, not have to, I get to start working on marketing my planner and getting the revisions done and all that stuff. So like that leans in, and that also happens at the beginning of each quarter because I have a quarterly version as well. So there are
Okay.
some like monthly ones where like every month I'm working on getting people into my group program. The planner has like different timing on it. So I sort of
Mhm.
look at it from the top down.
And then how do you work in all the pieces of creating sales pages, writing your emails, like doing all of the marketing side of things as well? Have you hired that out? Is that something that you still do yourself? I know I'm still in that world of, I'm the one man show.
Yeah.
I've hired a few things out here and there, but it's still, it's really, mostly me. So.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Sometimes me too, because I still write all my sales pages. I have a VA who helps me with some things, but also I do a lot of it. The designer, the guy who helps me with the planner is a designer, because it's so I want it to look professional, so
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I can do some design things, but it's better if somebody else is doing it.
Right.
So yeah, I hire pieces of it out, but I do a lot myself too, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I
highly recommend hiring things out. Even if,
Yeah.
like, my designer, my guy I found on Fiverr, he does my planner for me, and I use the same guy every year. So
Right.
yeah. So even if you just are using someone to do a little piece of a thing, get help. It's so important. Yeah, I'm a big proponent.
Yeah, that's where I've integrated that, hiring stuff out. Obviously, like, I've hired out my bookkeeping in the past. I've hired out setting up my Pinterest account and having it, filling my boards and having that stuff done. Just because that whole setup part of it was time consuming, and I wanted to focus on other things, coaching my clients, so.
Yeah, exactly. So anyone listening later, not now, but later, hire things out for sure.
Yes, definitely. I've even hired out, I had a project and a goal to pitch myself to 150 podcasts this summer. And I hired part of that out too. I hired a VA. I was like, this is what the type of podcast I'm looking for. This is, look for these kind of buzzwords within their description, things like that. Here's the email, send it, and that's worked really well.
Helps you with that stuff too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So I love that, because that helps us just leveraging other people's time to help you so that you can stay focused in your sweet spot, stay focused in your that zone of genius.
And so I had a hard time letting that go.
Oh yeah.
So if anyone is listening who has a hard time letting some of those things go, I feel you. I understand your pain. It can be hard, but you are so limited. You can only do so much. And if you're spread too thin, you're not doing everything well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just getting it done. Right. And there's two different things in this world, and people are sophisticated and they know the difference if you're really, really present, or if you're just.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to what you were talking about, was putting on that CEO mindset, that CEO hat of what is it that only I can do, and what are the things that can be delegated, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where for me, because I am still doing all the pieces, I kind of do the same thing. I look at what are all the things I need to do? What are the things that are must do's, and what are the things that that are I want to do it? And how important is it that it gets done now? Or is it something I can schedule out later? And just being able to look at things that way. But then also I'm always looking at, okay, this is definitely something that I want to hire out at some point. So identifying ahead of time. So if I want to hire it out, then I'm looking at what's the process I use, what's something I can set up in Trello or Airtable or somewhere like that can help me with managing this process, so that when I'm ready to turn it over, I've got something, I'm not making it up at that time. What's the process?
So, oh my gosh, I know. In my VA, I'm terrible at documenting processes, exactly as you're speaking about right now. And my VA is helping me with that too. So
yay. Yes.
I was like, oh, these look amazing. She's like, I know, you should have had these done already. I mean, that's not what she said, but that's like.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps that transition happen too, because there's so many things that we just do because it's in our mind. And so when
true.
we hire somebody else, it's like, oh, but you didn't do this. You didn't tell me I needed to do that. Oh yeah, that's one of the steps, right?
So true. You should know it's in here already. You should know.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, around your time, just one last question around that. Do you have any specific boundaries around your time and how you schedule things, like days that you just absolutely, I don't work on these days, things that allow you to have your life the way you want it and still get things done?
Yeah, this is so important. Oh my gosh, especially coaches, because we're so like, I just want to help you. We're like, I talk about boundaries all the time. I'm in a boundary actually at this moment. This week, I have a staycation at home. So I'm not working, like I'm not working with any clients. I'm actually working
Mhm.
a little bit. I'm doing this and, but we're recording this during the week of Thanksgiving here in the
Right.
US.
Right.
And so I have this whole week off. I had to block it off in my calendar so people couldn't book in. I had to be very clear that I wasn't taking client calls this one particular week. So yeah, again, I look at it from the top down, like where do I, we as entrepreneurs, we have to create time off. It
Yes.
is not a, we come from this like corporate culture where we're like, it's hustle and it's sexy to hustle. And I'm the last, I come from advertising agencies. So this is like, it is like poison is in the air of like, it's sexiest who's still there at 10 o'clock at night. Right.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
so we bring that into our businesses, that culture that we took on in many of us from the corporate environment, because that's for many of us,
Mhm.
our trajectory. Um, so that like gets in the way, and we do that in our businesses too. But I will tell you, you need to take time off. It is required for you to be able to keep doing this in the long term. So I'm in the middle of one right now because I needed some time off. Also, I do not have really strict boundaries that I hold around my calls so that they don't go over. So my time isn't, because I have, so many places I'm trying to be. Like if what my time
Right.
goes over in one place. And for us, it's important to hold those boundaries because you're, if you're a service-based business, probably you're listening to this, you probably are in some way, maybe not. But um, that's good for your clients too, because it's their busy day too. We just
Yeah.
assume like we can stay on these calls for forever. Um, so that's one way that I, keep track of all of it and have boundaries around things. Um, and also, every time this energy of like, I can do all this myself, which is a pattern that I have worn well my entire life. I'm one of those, like, I'll just keep taking stuff
Oh
on.
yeah.
So I really have to monitor myself around that. Like that's a daily thing that I'm watching out for, because
Mhm.
you can't do it all. You just can't. And it's such a silly belief we get ourselves into.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
those are a couple of ways that I have
Awesome.
boundaries around things, right?
Awesome. So getting to, I want to talk a little bit about like what you actually do as a coach, how you serve your clients. So tell me, what is heart-centered selling?
Oh yeah, heart center. When I know about marketing, that's my expertise. Blah blah blah. But when I started my business, I was like, oh crap, I have to sell. Like I was like, I didn't. Sometimes naivety, being naive, is
Right.
a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. And in this case, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to sell. Holy crap! And when I came out into entrepreneurship world, um, selling was this very, and it still is in many cases, people see it as this very like bro centric
Right.
way of, like I have to, convince someone or push them into this or get them to be a client, or, it's very, from the outside, it looks very pushy. And
Mhm.
so I created a different way because I can't do that. I can't show up that way. It's not my style. I'm super schmoopy and empathic. And so if someone else is uncomfortable, I can sense that. So
Yeah.
I can't be like pushing someone into transformation. That's not how it works in its finest. It
It's
works best
not.
when someone's like, yes, I'm ready for this. And so I had to figure out a different way through it, because selling, coaching is a very different thing than, a lot of other things out there for sale. So I developed heart-centered selling. It's a very loving, um, really connective, relationship-based way to work through the sales process. And so
Mhm.
I found a way through it, and now I help people through that exact same thing. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. The thing that I see, with my clients, I know I've been through it, and pretty much everybody that I've ever talked to in my network marketing days and all of that. They're like, I want the business, but I'm not a good salesperson, or I don't want to be that salesperson, right?
Right.
I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be slimy. And so I think there are, a lot of tactics that have given sales a really bad rap, but but we're always in the selling business, no
Right.
matter what we're doing, whether we're selling our family on what we're having for dinner tonight, or we're selling a client on changing their mindset. Or so I know in my world, I've started calling it more enrollment than sales, just to be able to say, like, I'm enrolling you in this idea, right?
Yep.
There's a little bit of a mindset shift there that I'm detaching from the slimy sales.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's still sales, but
yeah, but I look at it this way, and this is, I help people around this mindset shift too. So if this is helpful for anyone listening, really, if you're selling something, you're helping someone to create something that they haven't been able to do on their own. So if you're a service-based business, I don't even care if you do taxes for people or if you're a social media expert. Sometimes it's a little bit more emotional, but in many cases, these things you're helping people with are emotional.
right.
So it's something that's frustrating for them that they haven't been able to do it on their own, because we're adaptive human beings, we'll like keep trudging through something. So I look at it as a place to help someone create space to change something in their life. And if you hold that mindset around it, like, how can I be so present and loving in this conversation that it will in some way help this other person?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, which is so loving and connected and supportive. And you're really just being there for someone else while they're talking about their situation. And so I love it. It's so smushy. Most people don't even know they're in a sales conversation with me. Not that it's like bait and switch or anything like that. I mean, they're there for a discovery call, but they're like, wow, I that didn't feel weird or slimy at all.
Yeah. I get that. And I know for me, I'm looking at it as, how can I help you right here in this moment? What is it that how can I support you right now? And then let me also tell you how I can continue to support you and serve you. Because they've come to that discovery call, that free strategy session, whatever you want to call it, clarity call, whatever it is. Because they're wanting to know more, right? They're wanting help. They know they need help. And so let's be there and support them in that. So how do you,
someone even asking for help, like if we even just think about it like from a real perspective, it's vulnerable to ask for help.
Yeah.
So even though, that's the way I look at it, about like this person is in need in some way, not vulnerable as in like they can't do it, like from a judgmental place, but like it is vulnerable. Inherently, it's vulnerable to ask for assistance with something. So a lot of people are actually really nervous when they're getting, especially if you're talking to a coach or a healer, people are nervous when they're coming to talk to you about their thing because it's probably emotional. So that's how I look at it. Like, how can I love this person who's in need in some way? Like and if you hold that energy, it's just super, it's so much nicer.
And you touched on something about like when it comes to the pressure that a lot of people feel when they feel like they're being sold, right?
Yeah.
And you're being pressured into a decision, a choice right then. And when you feel pressured like that, then if you do move forward and you go ahead and sign up, you get the coaching package, whatever, then that energy that you felt, you're going to bring that into it, and it can get in the way of the actual transformation you wanted, because you're coming into it with this, I don't like how it felt coming in. And so then that's going to show up early on, and can stifle the actual transformation the person could truly bring you.
Totally true. And you certainly don't want to have that like buyer's remorse about their own transformation.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's a it doesn't work to push people into, I tried like a sales thing, like when I realized I didn't have any idea how to create clients. I went and like tried to learn some like sales things, but that classic like sales process is not how it works for transformation. It's just totally different. So
how do you get to the heart?
So that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. It starts even before you ever get on the call, because whatever energy you're bringing into the conversation is what's going to show up just as much for you as for the other person.
Yeah.
So, a couple of things like that I talk to people about are, it even starts with like how much you love your offer. Is it so, I love my offer, my main offer that I work with people. If I could buy my own coaching, I would buy it. That's how much I love it. And you should love your offers just as much. It's really like embodying what you do and the depth of the real transformation that you have in someone's life, which is way deeper than the thing you do on the surface level. So embodying that and owning it makes it so much easier to talk about your thing when it comes time to. Because if you're like, well, I sort of have a thing I do, and this is kind of how I help people, and like, wah. Or if like you're so excited to talk about it that you're like on the edge of your seat because it's so wonderful, because you've crafted something that's so powerful and meaningful for someone. So it really starts there first with like loving what you do and owning it on a really deep level. 2 is, get in the right energy before you ever get in the call. If you sound nervous, it doesn't sound to the other person like you're nervous. It sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. And that's not what we mean. That's just how it comes across, because this person is in need in some way. So get your energy right. That's something that's super important too. If you need to go listen to an inspirational video on YouTube, go do that. If you need some music to calm you down, go do that. Just get in the right, place of loving support, being really present, being excited to have a conversation with someone. Also really important. And then also remembering that the person that you're about to talk to, like I said before, is nervous. They're nervous to come talk to you in some way. In most cases, especially if you do like deeper healing or coaching work that's emotional, they're in many cases might not ever have spoken about this situation to another person on the entire planet. So just really remembering that and being present and loving and in your highest and best energy you can bring at that moment. It's not like required. It just helps the other person relax, because like I said, they're probably nervous. So those are just a couple of things to get you in the right energy, right? And if you find like you're getting nervous, that means your energy is focused over here. So just focus back on the other person again, and they'll be able to feel that too. And that's important.
Yeah. And I like to put on some really upbeat music, and sometimes it involves some dancing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So that I can get in that energetic, whether it's for a podcast interview or me interviewing for my show or something like this, or it's a sales call. Exactly. I have 2 things that I do. One, I put on some upbeat music so that I'm creating a little bit more energy within myself, and I'm praying before I go into it. And
that's a great way. Yes.
That the call is exactly what it needs to be. And so I take that pressure off of me. I'm like, okay, God, just make this call exactly what this person needs it to be.
Yeah.
And that if it results in a sale, fantastic. Exactly. If not, that's okay too.
And that actually opens up your energy to be so much more present and loving, because you're putting your faith in God. So it's such a better place to put it than like, am I going to be good enough or not? Let God worry about it. God's got it.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, he gave me this business, so I know I got to be good enough, right?
Same.
So he's the one that told me to do it. So I can't
Me
question.
too.
I
Yes.
can't question that part of it.
Now you
My
told
mind
me.
might try too frequently, but
Oh, that's funny.
so you say there are 6 steps, distinct steps to a heart-centered discovery call. Can you run through those with us?
Yeah. So the first 3 I already talked about, which are, love your offers so much that you can't, there's no way, it's hard for you not to talk about them. And then getting in the right mindset ahead of time before you get started. And getting into that service mindset before you get started. The other 3 are to, like I said, if you find that you're stuck over here, like I'm nervous, what are they thinking? Am I good enough? Then shifting your energy back over to the other person is really important. And the number 5 is not giving away your service during a discovery call, because that is not the purpose of a discovery call in any way, is not to prove to someone that you can do it. So not giving away your service. And then in the call itself, leading the call. In many cases, it's easy for us to just come into a call and say, okay, so tell me what's going on with you today, or something, whatever that is, or tell me about your social media presence or whatever. But if we are in leadership during the call, it is so much more helpful for the other person to relax.
Yeah.
And you want the other person to be able to, like I said, for many coaches and healers that I work with, the work they're doing is emotional work. So you want the person to relax so that they can talk about what's happening with them without feeling nervous about it. And so when we lead the call from the very beginning, here's what's going to happen. Here's how much time we have, like putting I call it creating the container around the call.
Yeah.
When you do that, it lets the other person like, okay, I can trust this person a little bit because they've got me. It's kind of like giving someone a hug through Zoom. I mean, it really is. And it allows the other person to relax into the conversation that's going to happen. So that's one of the steps as well. That's number 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really, I mean, selling coaching or healing work or whatever you do, it doesn't even really, any service-based business, like I said, people they're in need of something that they can't do on their own. And the discovery call is just as much a place for you to discover what's happening for that person as it is for them to discover if they're ready to change their life in some way. So, it's a different kind of a process to sell something like that. So it's, and if you are focused on the other person and being of service, you'll stop talking. Because if you find that you're talking a lot in a sales conversation, your focus is in the wrong place.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And I like that, the idea of the container, setting the agenda, letting them know ahead of time what to expect during this time. Is a lot of the women that I speak to on calls, they're coming to it and they're like, I don't even know what this is, right?
Right. Like, wait, what is it?
Right. What did I sign up for? It's been 2 days since I did this, or 24 hours, right? Since I signed up for this. What is this? Who are you?
I've had that happen too so many times. It's like the nature of coaching.
Right. And so I have found those, just letting them know, like, you probably got an email offering, a free call, or you got a text or something. And I want to congratulate you, one, just for taking advantage of it, because so many people don't. They just see that and they're like, but I'm, so, I edify them on, congratulations for taking this step, for even showing up, because that addresses that vulnerability you talked about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So true.
And then setting that expectation, like, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm going to have you tell me
I mean,
about
you
you
guys, let's
and
be
your
honest.
business,
Like,
you
you
know.
like remember, like most people have no idea what coaching is. Like, I'm a
Yeah,
transformational nerd, so like every time I find a pattern or an old belief or something, I'm in coaching, I'm in healing. Like, stop it with the like, I love it, but
yeah,
most people have no idea what coaching or healing work actually is in the
right,
room.
right.
So yeah, it's really important to like talk them through this process so they're not like, it's gonna happen right now.
And I even let them know, like, and at the end, like, I'm going to tell you about how, you know, based on our conversation, if I have a service that would help you, you know, that would support you in taking this further and reaching your goal and reaching this vision that you have for your life, you know, if it fits, then, you know, and I always ask permission to tell them when I get to that stage in the sales call, like,
Yep,
so can I
always
tell you
ask.
about- yeah.
Yeah,
So can I tell you about what I have to offer, what my coaching program looks like, so that you can just, you know, make that choice and see if it's what you think is would be the right next step for you.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of asking because then you're never pushing. Then
Right.
you're letting them lead that sales conversation part. So
Right. And
yes.
I very rarely have anybody say no. Like, there have been a few times that they've said no only because maybe they've just purchased, and I do some freelance sales for another coach as well. So they may have like just purchased her course. They get on a call and they're like, I got to get through this before I can think of anything else. I'm good.
Right.
And I'm like, awesome. That's fantastic. Understand. I understand. I get it
Yeah.
completely. You know, go all in what you've got. And, you know, we're here for you when you're ready for the next step. Well, this has been amazing. I would love for you to tell us about the free gift that you have brought to the show for
Yeah.
this audience. It's a business breakthrough call. Tell them what to
Yeah.
expect on that call. Now that we've talked about setting expectations.
Absolutely. I love this call because it's basically you and me talking about your business for about an hour. It the person walks away with so much more clarity about what's happening right now in the moment. And many times we think we understand what's happening, but really there's like so many layers to it, what's happening in a business. So getting really clear on what's happening right now in the moment, understanding what's really got you blocked from what you're really wanting to create, um, and then some strategies to move through it. So it's both mindset and strategy discussion. It's a powerful little call. I'm just saying.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for offering that to us today. And the link to schedule your call is down below this video. Definitely take advantage of it. Yes. Take advantage of all of the free gifts that our speakers have graciously brought to this show, because they are for you. They are to help support you. And so definitely go grab your spot on her calendar for the
Yes.
business breakthrough call.
Yes, it's
And
time for a breakthrough. It feels so good too when you have that like clarity, like, oh, I know where I'm headed right now. Yes.
yes,
It like
yes.
it lights somebody, it lights you on fire. It's good stuff.
Well, Misty, thank you so much for joining us on this
Yeah.
episode. I'm excited for what's ahead for you and what's ahead for our audience as they learn how to approach sales from a heart-centered way,
Yeah.
and not feel slimy about any of it.
That's it. That's it.